welcome or welcome back. Today's lesson is a quiet lesson, a slow lesson of somatic education. We will come to our senses. Nevertheless, a powerful lesson. We will work with the neck, the core muscles, and the legs, and bring everything together, but one step at a time. So I invite you to join me in this exploration, and we will start in side lying. For your head, I suggest you take a pillow or anything that can serve as a pillow, so that your head is neither hanging down nor propped up. And then underneath your left side, or to your left, in between your left side and the floor, maybe you want to support yourself with a little t-shirt or a small little towel, just the exact right size so that you don't feel any discomfort in your lower back, so that your spine is not hanging down too much, is not propped up. So I prepared this for myself. And then maybe in between your knees, so that the knees are not pressing together too hard, you might also want to take a pillow or an extra pair of trousers. Almost extend your legs, not draw them up the knees too much. So you can be more or less in side lying, and be comfortable in side lying on your left side. So that's almost the most important part of the lesson, to find a position on your left side you're very comfortable with. And you can rest in. So that's our starting position. Feel your head resting on your pillow, the weight of your head. Press your head a bit down into the pillow and then let go again. Should we repeat this movement? Maybe just a tiny little bit, a tiny little bit of pressing your head into the pillow, your left ear. What is it? What is it you're pressing into the pillow when you press your head into the pillow and then let go again? Is it more the back of your head? Is it more your cheek? So try a bit different areas, so you can roll a bit forwards and roll a bit backwards and press your head against the pillow and then let go again. Or maybe don't press at all anymore, just roll a tiny little bit forwards and a tiny little bit backwards, so you're rolling. We're still in the process of arranging ourselves into side lying on the left side, until you find your left side and you're really resting on your left side, on the floor. And then for the next movement, our intention will be to lift the head off the pillow just ever so slightly, a tiny little bit. And before you do that, before you lift your head off the pillow, think how you do that. Or maybe you lift your head and you observe what's happening. A tiny, tiny little lift. And this could be, the slower you do it, the smaller you do the movement, the more you might start to feel. Because you're using just the tiniest little amount of power, of work to lift your head. And what could help the lifting of your head? So, just for example, bring your attention to your right shoulder and see if you can feel your right shoulder at all. And in which directions can you move your right shoulder? Closer to your right ear, further away from your right ear, forwards, backwards. Draw your right shoulder downwards towards your right hip joint. A bit pulling. And maybe this pulling of your shoulder downwards towards your right hip joint can help the head to lift and lower again. So if you really take your time to explore that connection between drawing your right shoulder downwards, maybe at some point your right shoulder can pull on your head in a way. Maybe you can feel that at what point does your right shoulder invite your head to lift? If at all. Maybe we need to try that with a different position for the right hand. So just for example, a suggestion, put your right hand behind your back. Yes, let your arm hang behind you so that the fingers of your right hand are standing behind you on the floor. Maybe the knuckles, maybe the hand, that your right lower arm is hanging down behind you. And see, in this maybe unusual position for your right arm, if you can move your right shoulder, where forwards, backwards, up, down, and if you draw your right shoulder downwards, or maybe if you draw your right elbow towards, in between your butt cheeks, maybe this helps you to lift your head. But it's your time, also your lesson. Place your right hand wherever you might find it could help with the movement of your right shoulder downwards. How do you have to turn your arm? Where do you have to place your arm? What are your ideas? Are the possibilities limited by your imagination, by your ideas, where you can put your right hand, your right arm? Maybe if you wrap your right hand around your head to pull on your left temple or your left ear. So that's an idea to help lift your head with your right arm. And after a couple of explorations, a couple of ideas, movement ideas, maybe take a rest and just rest on your left side and feel how your head is resting now on the pillow. How is it to press your head more into the pillow and let go, or lift your head a tiny bit off the pillow and then let go, and feel how your head is resting, how you are resting on your left side. And maybe you have noticed that you're breathing in and you're breathing out. Even that is moving your right shoulder. It's working together with your shoulder, and maybe in this sense your breath can help to lift your head or to rest your head. So this is less a lesson of instructions, more a lesson of suggestions to find your connections inside. What else can help lift your head? For example, if you press your left side against the floor a bit more. So if you feel the middle of your torso and press with the middle of your torso against the floor, does this help you lift your head off the pillow? And does it need to be so strictly on the left side, or would you rather press your left side against the floor and turn your head and move your right shoulder? Which trajectory, which angle helps you the most to lift your head? So the right arm, the right shoulder, the left side pushing against the floor. Maybe a breath out or a breath in. And if you push your left side against the floor, maybe you can feel your right side shortening, or maybe you can do that deliberately to shorten your right side, as if a crunch, a sit-up, but you're on your left side, so you use the muscles on your right side to shorten them, contract them. And in this way, your torso is almost working like a shovel or a bottle opener to lift your head up, isn't it? So take your time to explore, to come up with ideas for movement, of how you yourself in your whole can help with your torso, with your spine, or maybe even with your pelvis, to lift your head. In which direction? Let's say as long as your head comes off the pillow, everything goes, everything is allowed. And of course, maybe I have to mention this explicitly, the pauses, the rests in between. When you take a pause, is not just to rest, but in this moment of resting, maybe there's a new idea, a new impulse, a new strategy that emerges from deep inside you and makes itself recognized or makes itself discoverable. A little twist for the side bending, maybe literally. A bit of a different arm position, or your breathing. Anything within yourself to help your neck, to lift your head, so your left ear comes off the pillow, your left temple comes off the pillow, more than your left ear maybe, more than your chin. How do you imagine the curve in your neck? A side bending to the right. How much do your 7 vertebrae in your neck bend to the right? Each a little bit. How much does your chest, the parts of your chest bend? How does everything sum up together into lifting your head off the pillow, or gently, gently coming down to rest on your left side? Now, instead of lifting your head, think about, prepare yourself to lift your right leg. That's a turn of events. So, before it was the top end, there's only one head to lift, and now it's the lower end, the other side, if you will, your right foot. How do you start this movement? Do you start with your right ankle? Or maybe you start by extending your right knee? In which direction does your right foot move? Downwards, maybe forwards or backwards? And once your right knee is extended, maybe you can start to lift your right leg up. How much? How heavy is it? And then always bring it back down again. How far have you lifted your right leg? What counts as lifting? How little do we allow to pass? A little lift. A bit more, a bit less. So what do you discover? What do you feel? Do you notice that in order to lift your right leg, you could, or maybe you have, pressed your left leg against the floor? How much? How strongly? Your left foot or your left knee? Maybe you straighten your left leg. How do the two legs work together, support each other in distancing each other from each other? Or maybe you have noticed you can use your hip, like before you were using your right shoulder. Now you can move the right side of your hip closer to your right shoulder in order to lift your right leg, maybe just a little bit. Or maybe you need to roll your pelvis a little bit forwards and backwards. Everything is allowed as long as your right leg becomes a little bit lighter, at least. And remember the rest, little pauses in between to wait for a new idea, a new strategy to emerge. How about your left side? Pressing your left side against the floor in order to lift your right leg. How about using your right shoulder to lift your right leg, or to even lift your head to lift your right leg forwards or backwards? Everything goes as long as the head comes off the pillow and the right leg comes off the floor bit by bit, if we allow ourselves. I mean, look at us. How long have we been here on this planet? How many years have we been refining the nervous system and our structure? Somehow everything plays together if we allow it. And then it feels just right. How easy is it getting to lift your head? And maybe now you lifted your head 100 times already, and instead of a sore neck, it becomes easier and easier every time, isn't it? Huh. How does this work? Just for example, I have been doing this kind of work with the lessons, inspired by the lessons of Moshe Feldenkrais. I've been doing this for 20 years. And just last week, I discovered an entirely new quality of moving my head right and left. Actually, a major discovery, and not something I could put into words yet. It's just I'm using myself differently to move the head right and left, and I think it's a big improvement over my previous way of doing so. Took me 20 years. And it's not even something I could put into words, or nobody could tell me either. I had to discover it myself. So that's why we need the time to explore and experiment and let things come up. Now, I think it's time to come to turn, to rest on the back at least. So please roll over onto your back and let's see how it is to lie on the back. And on the back, roll your head a little bit, so to the right and to the left, or drag your head to the right and back and drag your head. So without rolling, it's a dragging, a sliding of the head right and left. And when you drag your head to the right, see how you can help with your right shoulder. So use your visual imagination. So now you're on your back, you're not anymore on your left side, but it's a similar movement. When you drag your head to the right, that's like lifting your head off the pillow, isn't it? So you would pull your right shoulder downwards toward your right foot, or you would reach with your right hand on the floor down your right side, and you would push your left side not into the floor or against the floor, but just side bend to the left and shorten your right side. The same thing, the same motions we have been doing while resting on the left side, just now you're on your back. Then the next time you are back in the center, lift your head to look towards your feet and see if this uses your belly muscles. If you can feel this is almost like a crunch, like the fitness exercise. When you lift your head, it's not just your neck muscles, but it's your front side that shortens, the back side that pushes against the floor. Yes, maybe you can feel the belly muscles. And then again, the next time you're resting on your back, return to side bending to the right. So you drag, shift, or roll your head to the right, reach down. Yes, everything is allowed as long as your head goes to the right. Reach down with your right hand or your right shoulder downwards and feel if you can feel that contraction, the contraction you felt in your belly while lifting your head, if you can feel that on your right side. So your right side is contracting to pull your head to the right. Maybe you can move your right leg out to the right. Just we're trying the same thing on the back that we did while lying on the left side. A bit, not too much. Take a rest whenever you want to wait for a new idea, a new strategy, something to come up from the gardens, through the gardens of time. From deep inside, a movement through the evolution of men and women or monkeys. To the right and back. How do you feel? What do you feel? What are you doing? Now, we will move to the third part in this lesson, the third position, which is in standing. Yeah, so that's good news and bad news. Or maybe just bad news, I don't know. I enjoy standing and exploring movements in standing. Maybe you also can find a liking for that. Took me almost 15 years with this method to enjoy sitting and standing. But I really like it, and I think now it's time to come up to stand. So roll over aside and we will continue in standing. Take your time. We started on the left side, so we have been supported by the ground through our left side, and then on the back through our back, and now we're supported by the ground through the feet. So we're pushing against the floor, not with the left side, not with the back, but with our feet. We're pushing against the floor with the feet, and the floor is pushing against us through our feet. So find your balance. Be on standing on both feet. And then our movement. Shift your weight more onto your left foot. So slowly, slowly, bring your weight onto your left foot so that your right foot becomes easy and light, weightless, and then back again onto both feet. Little by little, move more and more onto your left foot so you can feel the gradual shift of more and more of your weight, that you're supported. You can feel all of your weight pressing against the floor through which part of your left foot? Most of the weight. Suddenly you can feel the alignment, the force, the gravity going down through a trajectory that ends somewhere in your left foot and come back again. So play a little bit with this idea of slowly shifting your weight onto your left foot and then back again until your weight is on both feet again. Now, for an idea, think about your pelvis. Think about your pelvis shifting to the left, and then your pelvis moving back to the center so that your weight is distributed evenly between your left leg and your right one. And allow yourself to correct yourself. So if you feel like you want to have a different stance, a different width of your feet, allow that to adjust itself, or a different orientation where your toes are pointing to, or where your pelvis is in space, back or forth, where your head is, how you hold your arms. Allow yourself to fall into a better alignment. Now, instead of observing your pelvis going to the left, think about how can the right shoulder help this movement. So your pelvis is moving to the left and your right shoulder comes down towards your right hip, just the same as we did in side lying. And why not add the head just as well? So when you shift your weight onto your left leg, it's like lifting your head off the pillow. Your head is tilting or side bending, not the head itself, but the neck is side bending to the right. Think of all the things we did in side lying on the left side or in lying on the back. The lifting of the right leg. How was the distribution of the movement done in lying on your left side? And how can you translate that now to standing? Your core activation. How do you breathe? How do you have to hold yourself, your core, your chest? Or how does everything fall in place? And where is the rest? Maybe sometimes you want to rest in between your legs. Standing on both feet. See. Oh yeah. It's not that hard. There's possibility to rest on both legs before you go again. Ever so gently, ever so slightly, a small movement. And if everything moves at once, it's really a small movement, and still suddenly you observe that all of your weight is on your left foot, but it's not such a big thing anymore. Now we are in a space of feeling and sensing, of very detailed observation of ourselves, with allowing ourselves to come up with strategies and ideas of how everything connects, which is only limited by our imagination, by our ideas, by our thinking. We are already up. We did it on one side. And I suggest we stop here for now. Observe the differences between sides, if there is a difference. Feel free to do the video again on the other side, or do the video again tomorrow. Or the next time you do the video, you start, now you already know this video and this sequence, so you can start to combine right and left while you're doing this video. I think maybe that's one of the advantages of videos. Or you take a rest a little bit on your back now and see how it is if you take a little rest and then come up again. For me, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. It was my pleasure to be with you for this time. Thank you so much for your support, for making these videos possible. And see you in the next one. Maybe I will also lie down for 2 more minutes.